Hi everyone, welcome to episode 000 of the Genetic Genius Podcast. And I am here, Dr. LuLu Shimek, your host from doclulu.com. This episode is all about me, your fabulous host. Here you will discover my adventures in life, the ups and downs, the tears, the laughter, my story. In episodes to come, the show will feature health experts from around the globe sharing their brilliant knowledge about ways to shift your consciousness and alter your DNA. This episode is called What's Up, Doc? Because you guys really want to know what I'm about and what makes me tick. This is my story about why I wanted to be a doctor, the many ups and downs of my life, which brought me to this amazing place that I am now. During this episode, you will discover part of my adventures, which will give you insights to the future episodes to come. I can't wait to share my story with you and hear all of your comments, not only on this episode, but many future episodes to come. I would like to take this moment to say thank you for listening, to subscribe to the show and share it with all your friends around the world. Through your sharing, we can make an impact on the planet, one cell at a time. It's through community, love, passion, and giving that the world can change. You don't want to miss out on the amazing guests that I have to come. So make sure, stop what you're doing right now, put down that phone, or pick it up and subscribe. So here's a sneak peek to the upcoming guests and episodes. Episode number 1, featuring Dr. B.B. Derricks, released this week on June 4th, and the title is Functional Fertility, the DNA of our future. Episode number 2, featuring Dr. Caitlin Calistine, Balancing the Nervous System. Episode number 3, Dr. Blake Myers, The Root of Chronic Pain. Episode number 4, featuring Dr. Mark Woodall, Environmental Toxicants and Cellular Health. Episode number 5, Laura Cardwell, The Brain, Healing from the Inside Out. Episode number 6, Dr. Marcus Copeland, The Healing Power of Water. Episode number 7, Scott Lindy of Sun Potion, Adapting to Life Through the Power of Plants. Episode number 8, Anissa Woodall, Nutritional Fertility, Cellular Conception. Episode number 9, Dr. Juliet Sweet, Ayurvedic Medicine, Daily Holistic Rituals. Episode number 10, Dr. Ariel Policano, Cellular Biofeedback and Your Internal Genius. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I can't wait to listen to all of them over again myself. The interviews have been so fascinating, and I think you guys are just going to love them, and there's many more to come. They'll be released every Thursday, so make sure to tune in then. So now just a little bit more about me, because I'm sure that's what you guys are really stoked about. So I was born in Pensacola, Florida, March 22nd, 1970. I'm a little 70s baby. I'm an Aries on the cusp of Pisces. So I'm like that fire and water all thrown together. So sometimes I'm like a volcano. Sometimes I'm more mellow. It just is a great mixture of the two. My first memories are really of nature. We did tons of backpacking when I was a kid. We went to the beach. We did many camping trips to mountains and waterfalls. And that's how I really kind of fell in love with being in nature. My first exposure to natural medicine was when I was around 5. I had this really bad bike accident. I flew off through the handlebars and I hit my shoulder into the black curb, those really old black curbs. And I had to go to the hospital. It was really traumatic. Alcohol and cleaning, and it was bad. But then my mom took me to a homeopathic doctor, and I got homeopathic remedies. So that's my very first real memory of taking a homeopathic or natural supplement at a really young age. And of course, I healed fantastically. I could move my arm, and everything else works great. So let's talk a little bit about my parents, because of course that's kind of how I became this wonderful human being that I am. My mom is a big lover of all things natural, especially when it comes to food. We ate everything healthy and in between. So she helped me to really kind of have this sense and deep love for cooking and my passion for health and nutrition. one great memory I have is my mom always had a little stool to help me stand up on the stove. And I would bring my doll with me. And then one time we burned the doll, or I burned the doll because I got her hand too close to the stove. And so I, of course, in this little doctor inside me, had the whole procedure. I made a bandage. She had this whole thing around her arm. We gave her a little remedy. So that's another, and I would think I was around 4 then. So I started working and helping people, even my dolls, at a really young age. My mom was also really into meditation and yoga, and I started doing yoga at a really young age and also being exposed to meditation. She would take me with her to meet a guru and experience being in meditations with large groups of people. So in that way, I really kind of, the 70s sense of that group love and meditation, I was all in it. My parents got divorced when I was pretty young, around 5, and my mom started moving around just to have different experiences throughout the United States. And she was a Montessori teacher. And so she was always looking for a new way to help kids learn better. And so I started moving around a lot. My dad, he always stayed in Atlanta, so I would spend the summers with him. And I started school at a really young age. I started at 3 in the Montessori school, and I just always thrived. I just always want to learn more and more and more. And still, that's a deep passion within myself now. I'm always taking more classes and learning to educate myself. I want to help my patients and also just learn about new cool things because, man, we are a great planet. There's so much stuff out there I want to learn about and share with you guys. So I think that passion will never die within me. When I was a kid, we also had this amazing backyard garden, and I loved carrots and peas, the sweetness, and I would just spend so much time in the backyard just picking the carrots and the peas and eating them and just like laying in the grass. So that's where I also developed my big passion for working with plants and gardening. My dad is an amazing man. He worked a lot during the summers. He has his own business. He's an entrepreneur, which is probably where I get that passion myself. And he loves the outdoors and exercising. So I would spend every moment of the summer in the pool, or we would be outdoors camping, a lot of times on the beach at Cumberland Island. And he helped me really, develop my drive and passion for business in my life, for really being able to do whatever I set my mind to. And both my parents were really proud of me in that manner. If I said I wanted to, hike up Mount Fuji, they would say, go for it, and so that really helped me be able to just try all different things in life and really experience things and find my passion. As a teenager, this was my pretty hard time. My hormones were in full on effect, and I'm sorry, my parents, for that aspect of myself. It was a time where I was just trying to find myself, and I really never fit in. I always wanted to be liked at high school, and I felt like I was just in the out crowd, which was fine because I'm a weirdo and I love being that, but I still kind of wanted to fit in. So I turned to punk music, alternative music, anything that would help me give me an escape from high school, since I felt like I couldn't fit in like normal society. And so, I was always in the weird crowd. And in that sense, I kind of felt like I fit in, but I still always felt like the outsider. And since we moved around a lot, I went to 5 high schools. So it was really hard for me to make friends over and over again. So when I did make a friend, they were like gold. And I still have a lot of connections with my friends all over the United States. Since I was having a lot of hormonal disrupt, you could say, high school was pretty hard for me. I was even arrested when I was 16 with my friends and I. We were doing a lot of partying. We broke into this house that was being built, and the cops found us. And so I did a lot of those types of things. It's just part of who shaped me for who I am today. I'm a little bit of a rebel and a revolutionary, which is why I have this podcast, because I want to find things that are different and help the world to know, because there's all kinds of pockets of people doing different things, and that creates like a passion within me to be that detective and finding those things around the world. My junior year, my mom had gotten remarried and she divorced. It was a really hard time for us. We were moving across the country from Charleston to California, and there was a really difficult time period, and my stepdad was like left on the side of the road because he was having an affair, and it was really awful. And so then I had this dream we were going to be moving to California, and that didn't work out. We ended up moving to Las Vegas, which was a really hard time for me as a high school kid. I'd always gone to private school because it was it was a way for me to really have my brain be activated and nurtured. But when I was put into public high school, and it was really traumatic for me. I basically didn't go to class, and I was getting really good grades, and my mom was like, "This doesn't seem to make sense. You're not doing any studying." And I kind of fell into hard crowds. I had a friend whose dad was a drug dealer, and so things started kind of going a little bit south for me. So then I was transferred to another high school that same year, and it was in the middle of the school year, and it was a private school, and so that was also really hard because not only in private Catholic schools they have these big niches of the students, and then I was coming in and being a total outsider. So I remember this one time I had this crush on this guy, and we were in PE. It was the all-girls PE class. And the girl, she found out, this was like she used to date this guy. She found out that I had a crush, and she tried to beat me up in the locker room. So anyway, those are just some kind of my adventures through high school. It was kind of crazy. After my junior year, my mom and I just weren't really getting along. It was just a tough year. So I moved to the last year of school with my dad, which was a totally new experience because I'd only lived with him in the summer. So I moved to Roswell, Georgia to finish my last year of high school. It was, again, a public school, which was different. And it was fine. I survived, but that was really hard. I just never really felt like I fit in. So finally, I get to go to college at last, where, and this is the first time I really felt like I could be me and with no judgment. I went to UGA in Athens, and I loved it. It was like this huge music scene. I was in art school. I could just express myself however I wanted. And I really started to dive deep into alternative music. I myself was in this crazy experimental music band. I had a boyfriend who was a musician, and I just was all into the art scene. And I worked at a natural food store called the Daily Grocery Co-op. I was I was a produce manager. And I also started working in bakeries. So that's one of my big passions too, is just like baking. And so that was when I first started working as a baker. It was called Kumquat May. And that's when I really started to kind of combine this like love for life with this passion of natural foods. So then I decided, I really wanted to do something different. And I found this natural gourmet cookery school in New York City. So I said, okay, I'm leaving Athens. I finished school. I'm going to move up there all by myself. I knew one person there. So, looking back on it, was pretty brave. So I packed up everything that I had in a couple boxes in a suitcase, and I got on the train and I took off for New York. So I stayed on a friend's couch for 3 months. And finally, then I got an apartment. I had really wanted to go to this natural gourmet cookery school, and it was pretty new on the scene for New York, and they didn't have any type of scholarships at that time. They weren't associated with the government, so no loans. And I was like, there is no way I can make this work. How can I afford to live in New York, which is really expensive even then? And so I just started, I had a resume portfolio, all my pictures of cakes and things like that. So I went around and showed my portfolio, and I got 2 jobs. One, I was working at this really silly, erotic bakery, which was really fun. And then also I was working at this other, kind of gourmet restaurant as a pastry chef. So those 2 things together came into my life. And New York is kind of crazy. I don't know if you guys have been there, but it's really fast paced. And I had to get up at 3 a.m. to be at work at 5. And my friends were kind of, they were partying a lot. So I didn't sleep a lot. And so things started to really take toll on myself. And I started to really like be eaten up by New York City. And I talked to my mom. She's like, maybe you should take a break from New York. I'd only been there for 6 months. So I decided my mom said, there's this great yoga retreat center in California called the Expanding Light. And she had been to it. And she said, here, check it out. At that time, they did have a website, but it was a little different. And they had a exchange program where you could come and work in their natural foods kitchen and learn and do yoga and meditation. I was like, oh my God, this really seems perfect. I've got to get out of this city. So I packed up again and put it on the plane, and I just left. I even left like almost everything that I owned in this apartment because I thought, oh, of course, I'll come back to New York, but I never did. My roommate got rid of everything, and I just stayed at the retreat center and started a new life in California for myself. And I just loved being at the yoga retreat center at the Expanding Light. This is where I really started to immerse myself into an alternative lifestyle. I was doing yoga 3 times a day, eating really healthy food, cooking in the kitchen and learning. I was meditating and singing and chanting and meeting people from all around the world that were coming to stay at the retreat center. And I really started to fall in love with this alternative lifestyle. I stayed there for almost a year, and I did the yoga teacher training while I was there. And so I became a yoga teacher, and I just really wanted to expand my horizons and start teaching yoga. So I had met, of course, I fell in love at the yoga retreat center. So I had this boyfriend for a while. And so he said, hey, let's hop in my car. We'll do some traveling around the States. I said, sure. So we started to do that. And then we landed in Port Townsend, Washington, where we started to stay for a while. And I worked at this raw foods bed and breakfast. And, I just loved it. I have a real passion for raw foods. They're just something about them just for me. And I love seeing the healing that they would do with other people really instilled this natural kind of like lightness within myself, which I think I really needed. And so I worked at the raw foods bed and breakfast. I got to cook all the food there, or cook all the food, make all the meals, and be in a small environment and kind of just really start to nurture this new idea, this new seed within myself. So I was there for a couple months, and then my partner at the time, we said, let's move down to San Francisco. So I moved down to San Francisco. We lived in this crazy co-op with this little tiny like back shack in the back. It was like one room. And then in the main house, we shared all of the kitchen and the bathroom and stuff. We didn't even have a bathroom in our little place. I don't know how we lived in that, looking back on it. But it was great. I loved being in California. And so I started my own company called Meals to Heal. It was a catering company, and I was doing all this natural food, and I was making all these wonderful natural vegan baked goods for the grocery stores around town and selling them wholesale and retail. And I just loved San Francisco. I loved being in the city. I love the history. I love the food. I loved being outdoors and traveling. And then also there was this great Buddhist center right around the corner from my house. I could go and meditate, and it was this fabulous chanting, and I just felt so at home there. But then 9/11 came, and it was a disaster for the city. It was a really hard time, and so most of the industry that I'd been working in kind of like fell apart. And so my partner at the time, we decided to leave the city and go and search for something else. So we left the city towards Northern California, went to visit some friends. And then he broke up with me in the woods while we were hiking, which for me at the time was just heartbreaking. I had everything in the car. Didn't have my own car. We had just moved. I had nowhere to be. I was so lost. I was like, what am I going to do with myself? So we were really close to Humboldt County, and I had a friend there that I lived at the yoga retreat center with. She came, her name's Casey Schmidt. She came to do the yoga teacher training. We just became best friends. So I was like, oh my gosh, Casey, can I come and, visit you? She said, sure, yeah. So I went there, and she has a mom that lives there, and her mom had a room in her house. It was like perfect. So I stayed there in her house, and I just stayed in the Humboldt County area, which for those of you who don't know that area, there's beautiful redwoods, and it was so in nature, and there's water close to the beach. It's called the Lost Coast, where you can just go out and be on the beach where there's no one. It was so peaceful, so rejuvenating. And I did odds and ends around town. Like I'm a super organizer, so I did a lot of cleaning, organizing for people, and cooking, of course. I was teaching yoga and meditation and doing some trimming. It's a pot capital of the world, so I was doing that too. Just anything I could to make ends meet. And so at the time, my Martha, who I was living with, she was at this Buddhist potluck, and she met my husband now, Dave, and she met him at this Buddhist potluck, and she's like, hey, I think you should meet my roommate, Lulu. I think that you guys would hit it off. So she had this a little dinner party at her house, and we met, and we totally hit it off, and we've been together ever since. So thank you, Martha. And the funny part about that is that we found out that she and my dad went to high school together in Atlanta. They were in different grades of high school. They didn't really know each other, but we looked them up in their high school yearbook. So it's so funny how the world connects everyone together. So anyway, my husband and I we met, and I had this passion. I was like, I have got to go and travel by myself. It had always been this really like deep-seated thing I had to do. And I had been saving up money. So we'd only known each other for about a month. And I said, okay, I'm going to go to France and Italy and backpack around and just have this adventure where I could see the world and experience something else, because I'd really never been out of the United States on my own, and I just had to do it. So I did that, and what absence makes the heart grow fonder. So we really communicated while I was gone, and we fell deeper and deeper in love, which was so fabulous and so nurturing. And during my time abroad, I got to experience so many things. It's like I'm a lover of art. I got to go to all these amazing art museums around the world and see artwork from these artists that I had studied. So it just brings tears to my eyes. I just loved that time period. So I came back to the States, and I'd been doing a lot of yoga with this particular type of yoga and meditation called Dan Hak. It's a real kind of Asian modality. And there was a training that you could do. It was a longer training, and it was half in Las Vegas and half in Sedona. And my mom was living in Las Vegas still. And I said, hey, Dave, I really would like to do this training, but I don't want to travel. I don't want to live. I wanted someplace in the middle. So we moved back to Las Vegas. I was older at that point in time, so it was a little different. It was my choice too. And we really loved Las Vegas. The mountains there are so beautiful, and spending time outdoors and hiking. And I was able to then commute between the Sedona, which is amazing spiritual mecca in the States, and then also to travel to LA to do the spiritual training. And this kind of instilled this part of me, this like really deep spiritual aspect that I had been searching for. It was almost like, I really got to know myself, because it was something for me that I really had been searching for. And, it's like sometimes when you're searching for something different, it's really about looking in. And that's what I found within myself, is that when I was meditating for, longer periods of time, I was able to tune out the outside world and be like, I'm what matters. And the more self-care that I did and the more self-work, the more that I grew and was able to listen to my dreams. And so one of the things I was doing or wanted to do was I decided to go to massage school. And so I found this massage school in Las Vegas at the community college, and I went there and I learned how to be a massage therapist, which, oh my God, I love to work with people on the body. It just transcends them into another place of consciousness where they can release all tension in their body. So I started really doing a lot of massage. I was working at a spa there, and I was doing a lot. And, Vegas has this underground aspect of it, which is a lot of, or underlying aspect, a lot of gambling and prostitution and drinking and all that stuff. As you know, also has the other side too of all the beauty of the mountains. But I was really kind of tired of that. And I said to Dave, I said, hey, I'd really like to move to another place. So we looked around and we found Bend, Oregon, which, oh my God, it's just amazing. Just the mountains, the volcanoes, the snow and the lakes, and it's a small town. So we moved there, and of course, right away, I found a baking job. I was working as a baker at the Sparrow Bakery, which, oh my gosh, Whitney, if you're listening to this, I just love you. And Micah, I love you. Thank you for nurturing me and helping me develop my love and passion for baked goods and French baking. I just loved being there. And then also, I was working at a spa there, and I also started teaching at the community college, teaching massage. So I had been doing massage for a long time, and I was like, I really want to teach other people how to do massage. So I started working with a program there for teaching people how to be a massage therapist. And there was part of me that always felt like I needed to do more. And so I started learning. I did an herbal program, an herbal mastery program, as well as an aromatherapy mastery program. And I realized that I had this deep, deep, deep passion for plants. And wow, if I started to be able to use them, and I made my own company called Big Dipper Botanicals, where I was making herbal products for people and my clients. But when with a massage degree, you can't diagnose or really treat people. So I could make a recommendation, but I couldn't really figure out anything deeper. And so my husband at that time, we weren't married, but we were getting married, and we decided to go on our honeymoon. And so we went on this beautiful trip through the Pacific Crest Trail, through the mountains, and we visited the rivers. It was just amazing. And then we went to the city, to Seattle. And I said, hey, I'd love to go check out this school while we're in Seattle. It's called Bastyr University. And we went to the campus, and I was like, oh my gosh, they had a naturopathic medical program, and I fell in love with it. It was just it seemed like everything that I had been dreaming of that I could help people with. It's like, naturopathic medicine takes this whole holistic idea and brings it together as a physician. And you're not just treating one aspect, a symptom of a person. You really go deep down to treating the root cause. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do this. And so we talked about it. And so we moved to Seattle, which was a big change for us from Bend. It's not that far away, but it's a much bigger city. And we lived there for 5 years while I went to medical school. And it was a really tough time, amazing time too. And I just have the dearest, deepest friends from that time period, because medical school is pretty much the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I had to study so hard, and it was more than I ever thought it could be, especially because I had a really hard time taking boards. It was just the basic science boards. I'd taken 3 times. I just had this hang up, and I couldn't get through it. And I don't know, it was just part of my learning process. And for me, that was a huge setback. I just this is what I'm meant to be doing? Is this what I'm meant to be? And I got through it, of course. It's always part of that process. It's just I had to figure out a different way to turn on my brain, and I started using different herbs, and I started getting a lot more acupuncture and doing things to help my brain be activated in a different way. Because, we all have parts of our brain. Of course, it's this massive thing in our body, right? And we have to learn how to turn it on in a different way. So that part of my life was a switch, because I had always, I was in medical school. I knew I was really smart and brilliant, but I felt defeated because I couldn't get through the board exams. So finally I did. And then I graduated with the next set of boards, I was of course worried. I was like, oh my God, am I going to have to take these again? But I did that too. And so I did that. It was an intense process, but one I'll never forget. And I learned so much about all the things within my life, and really instilled that passion for me to help people and to help people around the planet. So we were looking for a new place to live, Dave and myself, my husband, and we looked all around the Pacific Northwest, because I wanted to start my own practice. I knew that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to join with anyone. So we looked all around the Pacific Northwest, all around the coast where we lived. Nothing really resonated with us. So we said, well, let's take a trip to the South because my family lives there. My dad still lived in Atlanta, and we could go visit some of the states around the South and see if something resonated. So we did that. We came to Asheville and just fell in love with it. Just like the mountains, and the natural medicine is so needed here. It just really, people need that alternative way to just uplift their lives. And it just had everything that we were looking for. Of course, I had a big checklist. So we moved here and I established my practice here in Asheville. And it was hard, just all the different aspects of being an entrepreneur and starting your own business. And of course, I had bigger dreams. So I started a larger integrative clinic, which was a huge undertaking. And looking back on it now, I was like, I can't believe that I did it. And all the people that helped me and all the aspects of it came together. And, that was a huge part of my life, but I've moved beyond that now. Now I have my own single private practice, and which is working out actually to be a lot better because I can develop more time to my patients, more time to me, more time to my life, more time to my self-care, more time to writing books, just everything. So it's just interesting. It's like I really wanted to help people, but not help people develop their own business, but help me help develop my own business so that I can help more people, because that's what I'm meant to do here on the planet. So another aspect that I really want to tell you guys about is when we moved here, my dear friend Melissa Morrissey let us stay in their, they had an apartment on the bottom floor of their house. So we stayed there while we were getting started in Asheville. This is in Hendersonville. And she was a volunteer, or is a volunteer at the Veterans Healing Farm. So she took me out there and I just fell in love with it. And the owner, John Massey, is just this huge visionary. And I said to him, hey, I'd love to have a medicinal garden where I could teach the veterans about plants, about medicine. He said, sure, let's do it. So I've been working there ever since we came to the area, North Carolina, in the mountains. And I started and now I'm the botanical medicine director at the huge medicinal garden. I work with Adora Winquist. She's the aromatherapy director. And it's this amazing thing. We're starting a community clinic. It just is this huge thing that I've had this dream for. And the passion that I have for plants gets deeper and deeper and deeper because I just learn, it's such a different relationship when you can grow the plant. You see the plant. I just can't even explain the relationship. It's just like you're friends with the plants. I guess that's really about, it's like, you just touching the plants as you go by in the morning, saying hello to them, knowing that they're bringing this brilliant medicine to the world and to the veterans community just touches my heart in this deep way. So that's like a big part of what I'm doing now. So this podcast is really about me bringing the message to all of you so that you can learn about all the different things that I have become, had a passion for. The different nutrition plans that I've worked with, different raw foods, ketogenic, paleo, biohacking, I love that nutritional side of things. And then also like supplements. I want to talk to you about supplements that really have the highest vibration, because when you take something that is amazing quality and the highest vibration, your body knows it. It can use it. It's just like if you're taking crap off the shelf, your body's just gonna pee and poop it back out. It's just like, why did you even take that? So I want to help you to learn about the amazing quality of supplements that are out there. Also, I have a deep passion for hydrotherapy, hot springs, mud baths, sauna, steam, skin brushing, constitutional hydrotherapy, castor oil packs. We call it nature cure. I'll be teaching you guys all about that, or our experts will. You'll be learning about it through this show. I love the aspect of chanting, meditation, spirituality, mindfulness. That's going to be a key aspect of all of our episodes as well. And, there's lots of things out there like sound therapy, just so many things out there in this world that I don't even know about yet. And I'm so excited to explore with you. We'll be learning about aromatherapy, EFT, biofeedback, so many different cool things, crystals, this is a whole new world that I've always had this deep love for rocks. Ever since a young age, I collected every single rock that I could find. And now I'm learning, oh my God, there's so many crystals around the world, so many different things that can help you with. And so I'm excited to learn more about them with you and to also see how we can use them in our daily practice, daily lives to help. I do have this super high energy, as you can tell, and this addictive personality. So I knew that I needed to find things to ground myself and to help with the planet. So I want to help elevate you, help you find the next level of health and your consciousness. And that's what the Genetic Genius is all about. So it was born out of this way for everyone to learn, teaching people around the planet how to have the happiest and highest level of healthy living possible through patient sessions, online classes, videos, podcasts. I really hope you're going to enjoy all of this expert tips, advice, and knowledge, and that you've enjoyed getting to know me a little bit more, my passions, but especially why I've created this podcast for you, the listener. So please share this podcast with your friends, anyone you know that's ready to shift their health, their consciousness, their DNA, and their place on this planet. And thanks so much for tuning in. I really enjoyed talking to you about myself and sharing a little bit about me with you.